I'm not getting copyright. Oh, oh wow, let's do this. Let's get it. Raw happened, guys. Raw. If all the things that can't get you upset, like poor booking, terrible development of wrestlers, for terrible development for homegrown talent, no reliance on homegrown talent, and of course, we are in the final era for the season premiere of both Raw and soon enough next week is the first premiere of the return of Friday Night SmackDown, but it's going to be on Fox instead of USA over poor ratings on both USA Network and, of course, Sci-Fi. And Raw has been the same for years, so let's not change the beat, except the look a bit, and make sure the logo just looks a bit different. Oh god. Okay, let's start. Raw started with, of course, a brief recap of what happened previously on SmackDown, and then there was a lot of SmackDown recaps. It went over what happened with Shane McMahon in the lawsuit with Kevin Owens, and brung over Rollins being like, Bray Wyatt is dangerous. Bray Wyatt have maybe no chance of beating, and he's just somehow the #1 contender off not even having a debut return match on Raw ever since he came back at SummerSlam and only had one match. But he's issued a title shot thinks he's the most drawn guy in the company, even though he hasn't had a scheduled match or had a full-time schedule since 2018 or 2017. Either way, Bray Wyatt hasn't been relevant until this new gimmick occurred. And since then, it's gone downhill. They don't know what to do with Braun Strowman except he came and intersected into the conversation, calling Seth Rollins a pussy and thinking that, oh, you're just glad that you didn't have to defend your title against me for a rematch on Raw. And he had that rematch, and obviously enough, even though Bray Wyatt has been notable for attacking guys in big important events like a promo or interview or anything else, of course, Bray Wyatt would try to attack the man he's feuding with from Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman. And obviously, I didn't give a shit. Next was the OC having a decent enough tag team match with the Viking Raiders. Glorious big boots. Ivor did a top outside move from the out. It was pretty good. Of course, you got the bald dude himself kneeing the shit out of Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. It was pretty good seeing a big Hoss tag team match for once. Of course, there's still a big Hoss tag team wrestlers if you haven't seen the Ascension or the Viking Raiders or the Heavy Machinery. And the same thing occurs because Heavy Machinery is shockingly athletic if you haven't seen Tucker Knight or how charismatically entertaining, like Rikishi levels of entertaining out of Otis. So this is good. That was a pretty average match. I'm not gonna lie. So it was a pretty nice match. Opened up the show, but I feel like this is completely saddened because like there's no build up to a tag team title opportunity. Thanks, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler are still like involved with the main event stars other than their own tag division. So that's pretty stupid. Next we had Michael Cole sit down with Becky Lynch, always acting the most bitter when she have obviously accomplished the same level as both Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley. So what's the point of this bitterness is over like something like they watch me fail. Even though weren't you like the first to SmackDown Women's Champion? Didn't you pin Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha before numerous of times? What's this thing bringing this to a personal level? She's not even like, oh, I'm gonna defend Natalia's honor after her literally pouring her heart and soul into that promo, doing this for her deceased, recently passing father. All of this could make you a badass babyface. Like you're gonna talk shit. You're going to attack a woman while she's already down. Like what? Steve Austin was literally based on his past. The Stone Cold Steve Austin character came from being a blonde, generic ass tag team fag into being the most baddest, baldest piece of shit, alcoholic ass kicker around. Becky Lynch is that she's the last kicker, except she cusses a bit more, and her wrestling is still the same as ever. She hasn't even gotten exciting matches. The last good match I seen her wrestle on pay-per-view was the starting month of the year. That was January, which she had with Asuka was pretty good. She had a terrible back and forth with Lacey Evans. She had a triple threat main event match at WrestleMania that nobody fucking remembers except the botch finish and fucking Ronda Rousey nearly breaking her damn fucking hip. There's not that much impressive going into Bayley's. This is Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch's Raw Women's Title reign. Nobody even remembers that she held both belts and only held it until Money in the Bank. Is that really the cornerstone of this is supposed to be our most popular woman in the franchise? And yet she is so bare bones in her fucking promos, and it's so much fake aggression that it makes me not take her seriously. I'm being dead ass, and sure, you people can disagree. My opinion is my opinion, and it doesn't matter. But for the fact is, I feel like Becky Lynch ain't shit. I feel like she's cringy to watch. I feel like she did this heel turn a bit too overdue, a bit way overdue. And even if she did to like make this into like a anti-hero character, she ends up in almost every finish acting up the heel. Accidental finishes, always ending in DQ for any selfish, disdaining reason that is completely stupid. Could barely even like work a one-on-one match without trying to think that she's the badass in the situation. It's really not that impressive. Becky Lynch's entire Raw Women's title reign, and even if it doesn't change the atmosphere of the women's division. Most of the women are injured. Either don't want to fuck with Sasha unless they have any personal background with the bitch, and all this is just to challenge Bayley. No, not Bayley. Sasha Banks into a Hell in a Cell match. Sasha Banks, the first woman to be in a Hell in a Cell match, and nearly get a concussion. So I don't know what the fuck she's doing. I don't know why they're trying to do this to think that they're really trying to push Becky, but they gotta stop. This is getting out of hand. I don't think this is gonna be an interesting match to watch. I haven't seen like a good women's title match in a while, so fuck it. Let Hell in a Cell roll. We have like next week to go, I guess, and that will be like the first like Hell in a Cell where it's gonna be. I don't think it's still gonna be brand exclusive. Thanks, I know how much they can fuck that up. And then the returning Rusev faces off against EC3 that hasn't had a one-on-one match since. He was supposed to schedule the face off against Braun Strowman. I remember that, and then he just ended with no contest. Thanks, Braun Strowman just attacked him out of nowhere. So I think his last one-on-one match EC3 actually had was literally against Dean Ambrose. And that was like April, like early April, or at least late March. It is now late September, and you get squashed when you were supposed to be the next top guy coming from NXT. And I don't know why WWE is such a name as Ethan Carter III. Are you sure that's necessary? You know that's supposed to be the kayfabe nephew of Dixie Carter, right? Why couldn't you just give him his old NXT name back? It was an average match that had just Rusev doing his kick, little clotheslines, and they say it right here how underwhelming this is. The former TNA World Champion attacked in the opening bell, looking to turn his fortunes around at the expense of the Bulgarian Brute. But Rusev cut him off and flattened him with a massive Maka kick, and I think he ended it with the accolade and ended his ass. So that just shovels EC3 completely. He's supposed to be the next young top guy. He's built like a main eventer, or at least an Intercontinental Champion. But he has no charisma. He has no mic time. We're giving most of the mic time to a woman that obviously not a lot of kids are interested in. And I'm saying kids because that's supposed to be the heightened demographic. And as much as it's cringy, it's supposed to be at least a heightened demographic that people still want, and children are still like watching pro wrestling as much as people want to doubt that people barely watch pro wrestling anymore, even though it's getting a bit of a sudden rise in popularity. That, of course, you can't have like a lack of popularity if AEW is coming on a big network like TNT and Impact coming back on Access. That's at least a waking point for pro wrestling, even though New Japan even never had like a big starting point in mainstream American wrestling, so that's not much. And then we had, of course, that segment with R-Truth just running into the middle of the ring, and then Carmella just trying to convince the guys not to attack them. And Carmella's like, I can't do this anymore. Tell a clever roll up for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Carmella becomes, I think the third or fourth woman to be the 24/7 champion. It was funny, at least. It was clever, and R-Truth just shockingly just waved it away like, this bitch just stole my title. We need to escape. That's it. That was funny, at least. That was the most entertaining part of the show. So that was nice to see R-Truth, like, immediately just, like, get like, incredibly buddy-buddy and just allows to just help out Carmella now. Now the women are chasing, even though the men should be chasing as well, because the belt is unisex and multi-branded. So why isn't an NXT superstar is not pinning them at all? I'm still not seeing any NXT wrestlers hold the belt. It's still jobbers from the main roster. So this belt, it's fun to watch. I just wish that there was like more faces, new faces, other than just part timers, special guests, or just the women now just picking up the belt. There needs to be like a more showing, especially when you have NXT now on TV. So what's the problem? Other than that, it was a decent segment, pretty entertaining. Then we had a match involving Nikki Cross facing off against Sasha Banks. And I'm going to tell you this up front. I had a discussion with a guy from my college going over who's the better wrestler, Sasha Banks or Nikki Cross. Sasha Banks off the landslide. As much as Sasha Banks gets her ass nearly hurt every year, she's an incredible wrestler, can sell pain really well. I think that she's at least one of the more compelling women if she actually is utilized to her potential. Gets a faction, changes up her attitude a bit much other than feeling like she has the posture of any ratchet high schooler you see in your local county. I'm being really serious right now. I feel like Sasha is a tremendous talent. I just feel like she's not utilized to the best of her ability yet. And she's still having a young career. She's been in the main roster since only 2015, so whatever's gonna happen, no, I think since 2016. So whatever's gonna happen, hopefully it's for the right reasons. But this match was so alright, at least. I think it was good selling of the leg coming from Nikki Cross. Just aiming for the leg immediately, going for those, of course, ring post leg strikes, going across the bat. I think it ended off DQ. It ended off Sasha Banks winning off down the apron, and then it came with Bayley. I think she came in with a chair and interrupted. Then it ended with the bank statement out of nowhere and getting the tap out. So, all right, match. There was a crossbody. I think it hit her knee first into the face. So that was much. Shinda might agree. I feel like Nikki Cross still has a lot to learn in the wrestling ring, especially against more high-profile women than her, and how she makes the tag team belts completely irrelevant. Like any other woman, because there's no legit women's tag match or a legit tag division. They just make it because women exist and there needs to be tag team belts. Well, there's already too many belts. Next up, it was Amber Moon facing off against Lacey Evans. And Amber Moon won. No, I'm kidding. It was Lacey Evans. Off a surprise, I think she threw a handkerchief and then socked her in the face with a fucking women's right. And it was... Stop calling her the war goddess, for God's sakes. Please stop. Wasn't she in like one pay-per-view feud and had a dumbass match with Bayley on SmackDown? So that devalued Amber Moon to an degree. Thanks to very little women in your roster. Dana Brooke isn't there. Tamina is still healing from her injury. So is Mickie James. She's supposed to be coming back next year. Then you got Nia Jax out. That's supposed to be your biggest monster. And yet that fat ass is still suffering from a double ACL injury back from WrestleMania 35. So that's rough to see the height of you assholes. So it was nice at least. Off a huge decent comeback, then caught up with Natalia, and Evans haven't mastered the sharpshooter and vowed to make her tap out after an interview after the match. So it was interesting at least, because she literally just still feuds after like a few weeks off, and then she's like, I should feud with Lacey Evans. Thinks I should have something at least relevant to the discussion that I'm still a. Natalia, just go to the Indies. Just go to the fucking Indies. Meet up with Davey and Teddy. Do something. Have you? I mean, I'm not saying that there's smarks that watch my Raw reviews, but I know there's at least some smarks that at least view some of my videos. Please bring Natalia to MLW or something. Make her be. I don't know if they have a women's division. I don't see a lot of women's wrestling in MLW, but there is valets, and hopefully she plays it completely well. Bring her into the Japanese circuit. At least something that she can get herself a handle on, because she's still like an incredible wrestler, and she's like at the twilight of her career. Come on, guys, come on. Next up was of course the Funhouse, and had the puppets playing with the dumbass Rollins toy that he broke in half. Said the same thing will happen to Rollins. And this was such a crappy promo because, of course, Rollins isn't that interesting of a character. And they said that we're big fans of the Universal Champion. Bray Wyatt warned them to getting too attached to someone, saying he knew what it was like to be abandoned by those you care about the most, and broke that shit in half. And aside, he said sharing is caring. So that was it. It was much, but I think that was just a jab to Rollins and what he did to the Shield years ago. So at least that's much, but I hopefully enough like Bray Wyatt at least has like more personal jabs to at least make this feud interesting. Because we don't have feuds anymore, we have storylines, and the biggest storyline Rollins was about to be involved with was supposed to be beginning of the year, and it ended in fucking TLC in a regular match. Thanks WWE for ruining both Dean Ambrose and Rollins' legitimacy. So yeah, Chad Gable faced off against Baron Corbin after interrupting his coordination, so why would they have a match on Raw of all things instead of pay-per-view? It just makes Chad Gable look like a little bitch. It was an alright match. It wasn't better than the King of the Ring match, but it ended off DQ. Oh, using the scepter, then grabbing his black ass crown, and trying to celebrate as the king. That builds him up as something. Maybe they're going to trade wins again to come next week, so not much. And they also sold up this fatal five-way for the main event of Monday Night Raw. And Rey Mysterio, shocking to everyone's belief. We kept having these vignettes. Rey Mysterio said he'll do this for the fans and everybody involved. AJ Styles says, you can't beat the Phenomenal One. Bobby Roode had a quick vignette. And Nakamura, I forgot I can't speak English that well. I'm being dead ass right now. What's the most brilliant thing more can say in English other than like the most advanced Down syndrome patient? So anything else, Ricochet on this, I think is the first person to be eliminated. Nakamura hitting Kinshasa. I think Bobby Roode eliminated Ricochet with a glorious DDT. Then I think Styles got eliminated next. Then Rey Mysterio hit Bobby Roode with the 619. It was a really good fatal five-way to end off the show. Rey Mysterio is going to get the title shot from the season premiere against Seth Rollins for the Universal title instead of a title of his choosing. Thanks, we have the card effect. So that makes no complete sense to me because I feel like there's multitudes of opportunities, and I think and now it makes sense because like Kofi has Brock Lesnar come next week, so at least for both season premieres, got to do something different. We're getting 5 out of 10. The matches were alright, but passable. I felt like the promos were off point. I felt like some of the stars they really underutilized with EC3. They tried to put him after feud, they make him try to chase the dropper belt for way too long. For the last several months, you made him look up and continue to try to chase the 24/7 title. Made sure we completely forget who else was champion. Guess where he is? The way to be found. Still, he hasn't been seen in months. John Morrison's coming back. That's the funnest part. John Morrison's coming back, I guess. After his pretty good run Impact, having tremendous matches against guys like Rich Swann, Brian Cage, Alberto Albatron. I think he faced off against Eddie Edwards before, Lashley. Johnny Impact has at least done something. I think he's literally married to Valkyrie. And I think he's done well for himself, and hopefully he just gets signed by a company that's desperately needed at least some shorts that we can pick up legit stars, or at least some previous stars that do something. Thanks, we have Rusev back. And hopefully Rusev just gets a push or something. I don't know what the fuck Lana is. The lack of valets are killing me. There's barely any storyline involvement in any of these feuds. And hopefully the season premiere Raw release a different look or something. Because this has been killing me. Thanks for the end of this decade, 2010s are over, we're going to the 2020s, folks. So, whatever's going to happen, happens. And this Raw was at least watchable at best. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. This will be videos. Talk for you guys to choose if you want to see more of my shit. So